Hi everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you a few cards that I created for Halloween cards that I wanted to make. And what I did with these, and actually I have one more to share with you, I just did the greeting, is I did a gradient colored greeting. So I did a couple different ones. For this one I just kind of sponged on the same two colors, but for this one what I did was I inked up the stamp, and I actually ended up clear embossing it. So for this one I used Mango Melody for the top and Terracotta Tile for the bottom, and then I went over it with clear embossing powder. So I kind of did a very similar theme for these. I used a opposite side of DSP, so these are the back sides of each other. This is another one, very, very simple. And then what I did was to accent it, for this one I did some black foil paper. I also did the spider in black foil, and then I did black foil paper for this one. I didn't finish adding this to a card yet. I'm still working on that. And then I did a black foil spider here. And then for this one, I actually used, as you can see that, it catches the light there, the shimmer black Stampin' Emboss powder. So, and then I just went around the edge of that with the Terracotta Tile and Mango Melody markers just to add in a little bit of color. But I wanted to share that you could also do these just as simply with Christmas cards. So what I did is I picked a piece of Designer Series paper, and this is the Let It Snow paper. So if you see, this is just the opposite, so same as I showed you. They're the opposite sides of each other. So I cut these to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I cut 2 different pieces of cardstock. So obviously you could use either one for this. This is shaded spruce, and I know this might not be a traditional Christmas color, but it is incorporated into this paper, so it does coordinate. And you could also use blueberry bushel as well, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the opposite side, so kind of like the snow flurry side for this one. So another few things I wanted to share. I did these the other day. If you missed this on my Facebook Live, I uploaded this picture, but what I ended up doing was I added some of the the ice stamping glitter, and I added this with shimmery crystal effects, and it did finally dry. So this is just a leaf I did, so it kind of looks like a winter frosted leaf. And then I have a couple of really cute snowflakes here, and this butterfly I did with something different, but they were all on the same page. So these are what they look like dry, and I will tell you that the crystals definitely do stick. So nothing's coming off of these, and they definitely look more frosted. So this was a really great way to get them to adhere. So I thought we could kind of incorporate those in. And then I was going to also use the same as I used for the Halloween. So I did use a different one for this one. But for this one here, it's the No Tricks, Just Treats, and that's out of Everything Festive. So I thought we could do 2 different ones. We'll do one of them from Our Home to Yours, and then the other one we could do Merry and Bright. So we're going to do those for our sentiments. And if you hear in the background, I do have my heat tool warming up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these 2 different ways. So for one of them, I will do a gradient color as I did. So I'll pick 2 colors and kind of go from dark to lighter. So what I thought we could do is maybe a balmy blue and a blueberry bushel. So you could do that. You could do Pool Party to Coastal Cabana. You could do, if you wanted to, Pacific Point. So this one or this one to Pacific Point. But I'm going to do balmy blue to blueberry bushel just to show you the effect I'm going for. So what I'm going to do first is, for the first one, I'm going to do these 2 different ways. One of them I'm going to stamp them so they have a gradient. And then the other one I'm going to just actually stamp them regularly, and I will color it in. So I could either do it with black, or we could do it with the silver embossing powder. And since we have the heat tool heating up, I'll just do it with silver. So I'm going to do, from Our Home to Yours, I'm going to do in the gradient color, and then the Merry and Bright I'll do in the silver. So I'm going to go ahead and get that one ready first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I do have my, oh, I had it here somewhere. Maybe I put it on. Nope, I have my Versamark ink. I am going to grab my embossing buddy just to make sure nothing sticks. So I'm just kind of going over the whole sheet. This is just a piece that we're going to cut this out from. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my Merry and Bright. Okay, and I'm going to stamp it. And I'm going to stamp this down because I am going to cut it out with the nested dies. And I have a little coffee filter here to grab. So I'm going to dump my silver embossing powder on. Just shake it and give it a tap to get the excess off. Okay, let me put this. I do have my ceiling fan on. It's probably not the smartest idea, but... So I'm going to put this on the side. And I'm going to crank up my heat tool. This should melt really quickly because I've had it warming up. And in case you've never embossed before, embossing powder will go from a kind of a gritty to a very smooth, shiny finish when it's done. And you just want to keep moving it around so you don't melt anything. So you can see, I'm going to turn that back down again. Oop. And you can see it's very shiny. So that means it's done. So that's going to be for that one. And then I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to just move to the other side. That way I don't have to worry about them competing for space. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other sentiment. So that was Merry and Bright. I'm going to do From Our Home to Yours. If I can get this off of here. I haven't used this one in a while. And I trimmed nails so I can't get underneath of it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to ink it up with Versamark. And this is a great way to make anything, any color you'd like, you can emboss with. So again, you do want to make sure you have everything ready. So I have my crystal clear embossing powder here. I still have my little coffee filter out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Balmy Blue. And I'm going to just ink the top. Like that. And then I'm going to do my Blueberry Bushel. And I'm just going to turn this around. And I'm just inking the bottom. Making sure it's inked. Then I'm going to stamp it. And I'm going to dump my powder. So the Versamark makes it stay tacky a little bit longer. Just give that a good tap. And as you can see, it's very dull looking. So it did stick. Now the key to embossing is that you need to do it right away when you're heating it up. You cannot wait, because if you wait, the ink will actually dry and then the embossing powder will fall off. So I'm going to crank up my tool again. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to heat half of this and leave the rest of it unheated so you can see what it looks like. So just as a quick note, you'll see this side is very dusty looking and this side's shiny. So this side is melted, this side is not. And there you go, all finished. So that's what it looks like, all heated. Shiny as you can see, and you do have a gradient. Now the home, we could have made it so it was a little bit more even, but I still think it looks really cute like that. So then all you're going to do with your dirty stamp is just use your chamois. You can wipe it off. Make sure you wipe it off really nicely when you have Versamark. Definitely want to make sure you clean it because Versamark is a sticky ink, so sometimes you can get dust and whatnot attracted to it. So definitely want to make sure you clean it off. So we have those two stamps. So I'm just going to take these, pull them off the blocks. Okay, and then I have a couple other stamps just in case I want to add a little something to it because I'm not sure yet. So I have Snowman Season. We have a couple of snow flurries, just these little dots here. We have Making Christmas Bright, where we could use this little dangly thing, or the stars, or the lights, or the little circle. And then we have a couple little holly sprigs. So might add something extra into this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut both of these out. And I'm going to stick with, if it fits, that for both of them. So I'm going to cut this out. This is probably the 4th smallest. So the 4th smallest stitched nested die. So I'm just going to run these through the Big Shot and cut them out. Okay, so for the one that has the gradient color, we're just going to kind of leave that. We could add like a couple other little extra things in there. And then for the one that's silver, we're actually going to add our inks in a gradient color. But we're going to go really, really light so we don't overpower it. So we have this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the balmy blue. And I do want to grab just a little piece of scrap paper. And I'm going to grab a sponge. And again, I'm going to take this sponge, I'm going to dip it, but I'm going to start off because I don't want it terribly dark. Just a little bit. Just a little through the middle. So kind of for that. And then I'm going to do the same thing, a little bit of blueberry bushel. So I'm trying to do is starting off the paper. That way I don't overtake all of the other color. I'll leave this just a little bit. Okay, and I want to go back just with a teeny bit more of the balmy blue. Just a little bit. I'm going to actually go to a cleaner spot so it's not too dark. Okay, so then if you want to, and this is optional because it does wipe a little bit off, but it's not a huge amount. You can take like a little paper towel or shop cloth and you can actually wipe off. That way it kind of takes the ink off of your embossing powder, even though you've already heated it. So there you go. There's that. So we have that one, and then what we can do is we can back this up to a little bit of like a little bit of glimmer paper, a little bit of foil paper. Actually, I think foil paper would look really cute for that. And then where is my other one? For this one, we can add just maybe a little bit of an embellishment to it. So we do have a couple different things we can use. Now, these aren't necessarily coordinating with it, but they do go really good color-wise. They go really well color-wise. The Noble Peacock. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop a couple of these tiny ones off. And I'm just going to put one, two, and then I'm going to put one of a different color on the bottom of the other side. So there's one. That's something simple you can do. We also have some really cute embellishments with the snowman set. It's actually like a snowman builder, so we can add that. But what I'm going to do is with this one, I'm going to go ahead and add in something that I did with the snowflake, because these are technically balmy blue, so they do go with the color-wise. You could also add in a white one if you wanted to, so maybe we'll add that for that one. So what I'm going to do is just very simply, I'm going to finish these up. Move these over. Alright, so this is a card base. This would regularly be a standing card base, but you can also do these so they are to the side, so they open up sideways. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some fast fuse, or you could use tear and tape, you could use snail, you could use Tombow liquid glue. So there will be one. And then the other one is shaded spruce. This is your regular hamburger card, so this could open this way, or you can have it open this way. So I did cut this across, that way I would get two pieces that were kind of crosswise. So we'll put this on here. Okay, just like that. All right, and then I think what I'm going to do is, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to keep this one over here and this one here, and then I'm going to back these up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next size up. So for this one, I used the 3rd. So what we could do is we're going to go up to the next biggest one, which would be the 4th, and I'm going to cut something out for both of these. So for this one, I think I'm going to cut out foil. For this one, I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but I think I could also do a glimmer paper that would look really cute. So let me just grab two things. As usual, cue the phone ringing. Sorry about that. So let's see if this one will fit. This is going to be just a hair too small. So I have lots of scrap pieces. So I'm going to grab, I think this one is pretty good. I'm going to grab a piece of foil. for this, and I'm going to cut this one. And that's going to back this, and it's nicely stitched so it goes really well together, kind of pulls the whole thing together. And then I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if this might, now I'm thinking about it, I think the shimmer paper that I have is just a tiny bit too small. So what I'm going to do to make it work is I'm actually going to cut, since I have it, I'm going to cut 2 halves. So I'm going to cut half and half. So bear with me, I'll show you what I mean. So here's a half of one, and this is only because I don't have enough, so half of one, and then I'm going to do a half of the other. And then I did a half from another piece that I had that was pretty small. So we're going to make that work. Let me move this over. So you can always use your extra pieces when you have them. Now, one thing to make note, when you are using foil or glimmer paper, it is really difficult to get anything to stick to them. So I highly recommend using Tombow liquid glue. So you're going to put this on, and it does take a second for it to stick, so that is normal. So you kind of set that on and just set it. Make sure you have it lined up where you want. And just leave it. I know, bud. One sec. Sorry. Bath time. I'm missing something super cool. So then you're going to take this piece, and I only put this here so I could see it a little bit better. And I'll put this, and this one may overlap a little bit, and that is just depending on how you have it. That should line up perfectly well if I cut this correctly. Let's see if I did. I bet. Hang in there. There we go. So I'm just going to press this together and hold that just for a second. With your glimmer paper, it definitely takes a second for it to get together. So sometimes what I'll do, I don't have one handy, but I will put a a punch on top of it because it kind of helps to hold it together a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over. Let that one sit, and then we'll put this together in the meantime. So we have this here, and you can do the same thing. You can put a punch on this if you want to get it to stick a little bit better, but it definitely does stick. It just takes a minute to adhere when you do it this way. And then I'm going to grab 2 black dimensionals. Actually, I might use 4 because this is a little bit bigger of a piece. Yeah. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Pop these on the back. These are new. And the cool part is they come in little ones and big ones. So you get half of each. I'm just going to put this here. Just kind of eyeballing where I want it. Not really on there yet. And so I'm going to put one of these behind. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to just kind of eyeballing where I want this. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to stick him down. And there was one that didn't have a whole lot of stuff on it, so I'm going to put it underneath there. That's still right where I want it. And you can obviously, put much more glue in there if you like, but just for design purposes. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another one just to cover the top. Just like that. So we have our 2 little snowflakes. So it's just like a flurry of flurries behind, and then we have our little snowflakes in front. So that's one. And then the other one, this should be okay by now. And I was originally thinking I would put some extra stuff on this, but I don't want to add too much to it because I think it looks really cute how it is. So what I might do is just maybe add the little snowflake we could do is put half in the front and half behind, but then it would kind of cover up. So what I might do is add this to the side over here, since this is a little bit more of a noticeable seam. Put this here, kind of wiggle it around so it gets a little stickiness to it. And then same thing, I am going to put a few dimensionals on the back of this as well. So I'm just going to grab 4, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. My fingers are nice and sticky. It's sticking really well. And then one other thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab one of the mini dimensionals and I'm going to put it just right here, just so it's kind of behind there. Holds that little snowflake up just slightly. And you certainly could use a white dimensional, a white mini dimensional, but honestly the black one kind of blends in enough that unless you know where you're looking, it could just be the snowman's hat. So, but anyway, 2 pretty simple cards. All we did was use the flip side of Designer Series paper to create those. And again, we did a nice gradient for both of these. Color wise, this one we used Balmy Blue and then Blueberry Bushel. And then we used the same thing for this with the inks. We just did the reverse. And then we have the same card, but in a Halloween version, and then here's the gradient version. And then we have another one just with the flip side of the Designer Series paper. So this is another idea you could do. So hopefully, again, really simple, because all we used was one main piece of DSP as our kind of like our focal point image. We just used the other side. We switched up the colors if you wanted to. So for this one, I used Pumpkin Pie, and that one in the back, I used Mango Melody, and then I just sponged the edge with a little bit of the dark gray ink. So really, really simple. Easy to do. You could pop out a whole bunch of them. You could even avoid this if you don't want to use the foil. You couldn't, if you have extra stuff that you need to use parts of, you could split it like I did with this one. And if this little seam here even bothers you, you could get a really tiny snowflake embellishment. We do have these, I believe they are still, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, they were still in the clearance rack because I just got a pack recently. And of course now when I'm looking for them, so away. We do have snowflake trinkets, I know we do. Oh, of course, they're the last ones I'm looking at here. You could add these too. These were really, really cute. These were in the clearance rack, so you could add one of those on top of that seam if you wanted to, or even on top of that, which would look adorably cute. So these, last checked, when I'm filming this, they were still in the clearance rack, the snowflake trinkets. So I hope you guys found this useful, at least found a little bit of something that you could do maybe with some of your extra pieces of foil or glimmer paper that you're trying to save up and use for something instead of just throwing away. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to get any of these supplies, you can go to my online store, which is rachthestamper.stampinup.net. You can find lots of ideas and inspiration on my blog, which is rachthestamper.com. If you have any questions, you can always ask me anything at rachthestamper@gmail.com. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks for watching.